It was October 1998. I'm in the shower getting ready for work. And suddenly I stop. And I think, that doesn't seem right. And I look down and I see here a bump. Huge. And the skin has a shadow. And I first think, how could I have missed that? And my brain immediately said, cancer. Well, of course, I immediately went into denial because no one in my family had ever had that. And that's the way I proceeded for the next 11 months. I was working at the time, but the job that I had was temp to perm. And in the first quarter, the end of the second quarter, no, we can't hire you. No budget, frozen. I said, well, I don't have insurance. What am I going to do? Well, I'm a Christian, so I pray, Lord, if you won't miraculously heal me, you got to hold back the tide until these people say yes. And I get that miracle of modern world in medical insurance. So, at the end of about 10 months, the supervisor or the manager who kept telling me, no, we can't hire you permanently, got transferred to another job. And they brought in her friend. Now, this friend, I thought was okay. She was always cordial to me, very friendly. But one day, everyone in the office disappeared at lunchtime. And I was really hurt because 16 people went out to lunch, but they didn't invite me. And I never could figure out why. I found out a few weeks later that they had actually gone to lunch. They had signed a pact and presented a petition to HR that said, if you do not fire this woman, every single one of us will quit.
Whoa.
And whoa. And they were kind enough not to include me because they knew I wanted to get hired, and just in case there were any repercussions, I wouldn't be affected. Whew. You never know, do you? Anyway, but what I mean is, the reason I mention her is because you never know about people. Like I said, they saw one side of her, I saw something else. And one day she was talking to me, and before the event, and she said, how long have you been here? And I said, well, I'm not really an employee, I'm a temp. You're a temp? She says, how long have you been here? I said, almost 11 months. And she said, that's ridiculous. And so off she goes to HR. Within 2 days, I had an offer letter. They signed. Medical insurance started immediately. I get on the phone, I call my doctor. They get me in, this is Friday, they get me in on like a Tuesday. Well, I go to my doctor, and she looks and she examines me, and she says, well, you know, I'm going to Argentina next week. I thought, okay. She says, when I get back, then I want you to come in and see me, and we'll look into it. Okay, but in the meantime, I'll send you over to the hospital, x-ray, when I get back, we'll talk. I go to the hospital, get the x-ray. The tech looks at me and she says, wow, I can see that across the room. She gets a doctor to look at it that same day. They called my doctor, and she calls me and says, I need you to get here this afternoon, Friday. Well, within 10 days, I'm scheduled for surgery. I see a surgeon, all the things. I tell them at work that I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks. Actually, it turned out to be a month. And of course, they wanted to know why. I thought, do I tell them? Do I not? I don't usually like to discuss a lot of really personal business at work. But on the other hand, it's really an important issue people need to know about. So I told them. And they're like, oh my God. It's like, you know, they want to know, are you going to die? You could just see it in their faces. Is she going to die? Every time they talk to me, it's like, Sharon, can you check into this invoice? And so they're kind of creeping, tiptoeing around. And so I'm fine. I have good doctors. I have insurance. So I'm going to be taken care of. And I believe in God. I know I'm going to come through this just fine. So I had the surgery. The surgery went well. Then I had to start chemo. So I did that for 9 months. I had radiation for 30 days. Some parts of it were not so pleasant, but nevertheless I got through. And at the end of that year, I was cancer-free. My family and I went on a big vacation, a 3-week cruise to the Mediterranean, had a great time, and that has been what is it, 14 years ago? Here I am today, happy, whole, still clean, excited about life, but during that time, I did learn a few things. I learned, one, that people can be pretty awesome. I made some incredible friends during that time. First of all, I was amazed to find out how many people are connected to people who had breast cancer. Many of them lived, some of them did not. So I had a really great support system and people that I did not even know. I had good doctors. I had great insurance, never had to pay for anything. Because I have to tell you, having had insurance and having not had it, it's a little bit of a scary, stressful world when you don't. But I got great friends. I learned to be patient because I had to walk through all the steps, let things do what they needed to do. I learned to have trust and faith because I felt all along throughout God was going to take care of me, and He did, because here I am today. And I will say it was a wonderful experience. I wouldn't wish it on anybody else, but I'm glad for the things that came out of that. That I am healthy, whole, and my biggest problem is a diet. So if any of you are going through anything like that, please come see me. I want to share my experience. I want to hear about yours. I'm willing to connect. Don't go through it alone. If you need help, ask for it. I'm here if you need someone to talk to. And I just wish all the best of health, a wonderful life, a healthy life for you and all your family. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone. Sharon, you had a message for us, buried in a story, and that was very intentional. You were telling the story of your cancer and your recovery, and how you got there, and what made it possible. But it took a little while to get there. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things that could make that journey more powerful for us. And I'll start at the very, very, very beginning, before you got up here. We had no title. We had no introduction. That may have been deliberate, but I don't think so. Because the introduction and the title puts us into a frame and gives us a place to start. That said, when you did come up here and you took us into your shower on a specific date in October 1998, the 11th, I believe, that was very definite in time. Could have been even more definite in place, but it was concrete, well described. And then the bump, I could see it. Not through your clothes, but I could see it through your mind. And that was terrific. That was strong description, strong placement. Put us really inside your head. I would like to have had that same strength of description through the rest of the talk. When you came back to yourself, and we came back to the bump, there it was again, vivid, big as life. But when you talked about the people, when you talked about the office, it was just a beige world like any other office. And I think you could have brought that out for us and made it really feel better. You talked about the supervisor and being told 3 times, no, can't hire you yet, no budget. Then you detoured to the new supervisor and the secret meeting. And I was lost for a bit before you came back to, even though they didn't like her, she hired me. And I think we would have been better served to avoid some of that detour, or maybe just reorder it. She hired me. Later I found out. Not such a deal. Your faith in God was a unifying theme throughout the talk, and that came through. And your offer to help was a really powerful conclusion. I did lose one thing you said. You said, my biggest problem today is, and I lost that. It kind of got swallowed. So if you're driving home a point, beat us up, because it's a noisy room. The offer to help is real, the red card is real, and I will get off here and let other people talk. I enjoyed it, and I think it was a powerful speech. Thank you.
Mr. Timer, can you give us about 3 minutes and we'll go around the room for the time that we have. Anyone would like to just chime in on giving any more comments to Sharon? Yes, Kurt.
Thank you for sharing that, Sharon. It was a great speech and a good topic. I felt that your emotion wasn't all there, like it probably could have been. Personally, I didn't feel, I've heard stories of people talk about cancer survivorship, and I've always got this, you know, a very emotional response, and I didn't feel that in your storytelling. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I think you could have had an opportunity there to probably pull out more emotion from your audience.
I think I'll just resonate with what he just said, that no, like the point where you recognize that you had it, you could have stopped there and you can expand it, that putting some more emotion into it. So that's the exact spot where you knew that you got it. So maybe that time you could say some more emotional words or show something like that. Would have completely attracted something different. But it was a great speech, but that would have added some more extra value to it. Just a small thought to add.
One thing, Sharon, that I kind of was expecting is when you noticed that you had a bump in, you definitely had a few million thoughts running in your head. You could have put a little context to it and brought them out so we can walk along with you in your journey and then feel, aha, she made it, therefore I made it, kind of thing. So that would have helped.
Anyone else?
If I could just say, I think in a speech like this, you have the tension and the release. The tension and the release. You know, people, sometimes it is not too, it is, sometimes you try to avoid bringing your audience into that tension all the time, because that emotional strain needs a release. So a bit of humor in there, in a couple of choice spots, would break that tension and make the speech take it to the next level.
Okay. Thank you all.